Ken, thanks so much for talking to me today.
Oh, it's great to be with you.
So we're at the Europe Global Tax Symposium in Rome, and I can't think of a better place to talk about this. So let's dive right into it. I want to talk to you about, obviously, tax, but the fact that tax is having a moment. Would you estimate that that's true?
Yeah, no, it's a moment for tax, and it has to do with the potential for relevancy right now of senior tax executives across the world, honestly. So we're here in Rome and we're meeting with senior tax executives from Europe, but the reality is it's across the entire globe, and that relevancy is just coming from the manner in which tax can be a value driver of everything that's going on in an organization. So if you step back and look, just business is complicated right now, okay? Companies are developing new solutions, oftentimes digital solutions for what they've got going on. They're rethinking the value drivers that they're delivering to their customers. They're rethinking where they make and buy things. All those things come together. And they're doing it in a way that sort of brings the element of sustainability together. So you piece all that together and go, what does that mean for tax? Well, Inflation Reduction Act has created this incredible opportunity in the US for people to be focused on where credits can be a pay for some of those strategic priorities. It's the same across the globe right now in that space. You also look at things like new products and solutions, and you look at things like changes in supply chain and where things are made and bought. And it's an opportunity for tax to be part of driving the value that organizations essentially realize from that. And so there's this great seat at the table right now for senior tax executives to really be there and, to your point, have a moment of really driving a lot of value in organizations and being incredibly relevant.
I want to push that a little bit in terms of getting just a little bit more granular. As a tax executive, what is it that you're doing? How are you pushing tax?
I think it's just being part of what's happening on the strategic priorities. And like this is a to-do, honestly, for senior tax executives, because a lot of times when I talk to them, they're incredibly focused right now on just the here and now. How am I going to get what I need to get done? Pillar 2's coming along, filing obligations continue to get more difficult, talent's difficult to find. It's really hard to, in that moment, also be thinking about what are the organizational priorities and how do I lean into those? And I think that moment for the senior tax executives is to realize that the relevancy they can demonstrate for their tax function by being part of all those strategic priorities can help them achieve all the other pieces they're trying to achieve, and honestly get the funding they need, the people they need, or the support they need around trying to accomplish all the things that are going on in the day-to-day.
So you mentioned talent, and I want to stay on that for a second. You pinpointed something that has been a challenge, and increasingly so since the start of the pandemic. And so where are they now with that, and how are they getting people in or keeping them?
Yeah, so I will just say talent has continued to be just a challenge overall in the business world, but specifically in this profession. Trying to find people right now in the marketplace is incredibly difficult. Talent is costly. A lot of times they're having to take people from different geographies, different locations. It's hard to get people together. So that is a talent challenge going overall. And honestly, there just isn't enough people in the system.
Sure.
We can leave this for another discussion, but there's less and less CPAs right now coming out of the college campuses. So It is a challenge overall. What senior tax executives are having to do is to look at a more broad talent pool, right? So can I hire things like technology people to come in and be part of my tax function and help manage the data to free up the people who are truly tax professionals to be able to do the day-to-day. Like that sort of stuff is happening. Also, they're going to need different tax talent to lead into those strategic priorities that we just talked about and being part of the organization's sort of strategy and value drivers. That requires different talent right now. So it's really looking at sort of the available talent pools that are out there and trying to pull in people from wherever you can to sort of satisfy the needs that are out there. And against all that, all those senior tax executives are also dealing with cost constraints. There is no organization right now that's saying, hey, let's go spend more money on people or more money on our tax functions. So that's also a challenge they're dealing with.
So I want you to take everything you just said and just switch the topic out for technology. With the onset of AI and just countless other things, that is a big challenge. So what is the role of technology in tax?
Yeah, that's sort of the next brick in the wall if you think about it. If you start with, one, I can't find talent, or I'm trying to go to diversified talent to bring talent in to do these things. And oh, by the way, I've got a lot of things to get done. The next phase is what role does technology play, right? So Technology's been a driver for tax functions, an important driver for tax functions for years. It's just getting more involved and more complex right now, okay? So being able to utilize automation tools to manage data, those sorts of things, those are table stakes right now. You've got to be able to do that. You just hit on it. The next sort of opportunity for us is, what role does AI play in trying to increase the productivity of our tax professionals right now and put them in a position to sort of do things that they haven't been able to do before? Again, if we're going to have less folks out there or available labor force, we're going to have to drive productivity out of the talent that we have in order to be able to get the things we need to get done. And so technology has been an important driver. It's going to be an even more important driver going forward. And I do think hiring technology talent sometimes to come in that may not have a tax background is part of trying to backfill that resource gap.
Right. Okay. Before we close, final thoughts?
So I would just say to the tax professionals out there, embrace the moment. Like, there is this opportunity to be incredibly relevant in your organizations, and I think it just requires you to sort of step outside comfort zones sometimes and jump into areas that you might not have jumped in before. Be part of what's going on the sustainability side and understand where tax can be a driver there. Understand what are the new products or solutions companies are coming up with, and how can you use that as a vehicle to achieve some of the tax outcomes you want to achieve, and honestly add value to the organization. And know you're not alone as it relates to the talent challenges. All of us are dealing with sort of the challenge that exists in this profession around talent, and we're all going to have to be creative to solve for it.
Sure. Ken, thank you so much. And I think we are talking in a couple of weeks again, so I look forward to that. Thank you.
Sounds great. Good to see you, Sindhu.